CHA, I'm Mrs. Williams. In case you don't know me, I teach 6th and 7th grade English Language Arts over on the middle school side. And one thing that you guys might not know about me is that before I taught at CHA, when I first moved to Fort Worth, I took up a hobby of decorating cookies, and I even sold some of them for a little while. My 7th graders know this because they've been begging me to bring them cookies ever since I started teaching them in 5th grade. And you guys, I promise I'm going to. I have some spare time, so maybe I can make some right before we go back to school. But I wanted to kind of lead you through how to ice sugar cookies. I thought this would be a good thing maybe for you to do, especially since we're getting close to Easter. So today I'm going to show you how to do 2 different designs for cookies. But here are my examples that I made. So as you can see, you can do a whole lot of different designs, but today we're going to focus on flowers and Easter eggs. I'm going to be putting my recipe for sugar cookies. I'm going to be putting my recipe for sugar cookies up at the end of the video. You don't have to use this recipe. Obviously, you can use a sugar cookie mix from Walmart or wherever. But what I love about my recipe is that the cookies bake and they keep their shape and they stay really flat, which makes them really easy to ice. Also, my icing recipe. Basically, I'm going to show you kind of the tools that I use to use this icing. It's a royal icing with meringue powder. And again, I'll put that recipe at the end. But the thing I like about it is you can make a whole lot of it and then you can keep using it for several days since there's not any raw ingredients. So the tools I use to actually ice the cookies, first thing that's really important is this. It's called a coupler. You can get these at Hobby Lobby or at Walmart, and you use it with piping bags, and you stick the coupler inside. The reason this is good is because you can change out the tips without having to totally refill your piping bag, which is really awesome. So I use that, and then I also use these bottles that you can also find at Walmart or at Hobby Lobby. This makes good kind of stiffer icing is what I use in the piping bag. And then this is called flooding, which I'll talk a little more about in a second. Another tool that I use is toothpicks. And my husband will tell you that I drive him crazy when I ice cookies because I leave toothpicks all over the place. I'll show you what those are for in a minute. And then this is the type of food coloring that I use. I get it at Hobby Lobby. It's gel food coloring. It comes in all different colors, but it just works really well. So I'm going to lead you through kind of the 3 steps that I use whenever I'm icing cookies. So step 1 is that you have to create an edge for your cookie. So you want to make sure you put one hand at the end of the piping bag and one kind of up at the top. That way the icing doesn't squirt out the top. And then you just drag your tip around the edge of the cookie. And what this does is it creates kind of a edge for your flooding later so that it doesn't spill over the edge, hopefully. So I'm gonna do the flower as well, just to kind of show you. You just kind of drag it slowly around the edge. And you try to make it as seamless as possible. If you have to pick up the bag and kind of start in a different spot, that's totally fine. It will still work. Okay, so that's step 1. And I usually let step 1 harden for at least 10 minutes before I move on to step 2. So as you can see here, I already did the edging for these 2 cookies so that it'd be ready for you guys. And so what you do now is you take the bottles or the flooding. The reason this is called flooding is because it has more water in it than the piping does. And what I try to do is I try to do my background the same color as the edge that I chose. So what I do here is I just squirt all my flooding on the cookie. And then this is where the toothpicks come in. You just spread it out, and it kind of takes some playing around with. If the icing is too watery, sometimes it does accidentally spill over the edge. But you try to get just the right amount so you can go all the way to the edge. And so I'm gonna show you two different you can leave the background plain if you want, but I find it really fun to do other things. So one thing you can do is polka dots. So you can take either the piping bag or the flooding, and you can do polka dots. And you just kind of very lightly do the polka dots. Just wherever you want. You can do whatever colors you want. It's really fun. The thing I like about this is each cookie I usually do a little bit different, so they're all kind of unique. Okay, so that's the polka dot technique. But on the flower, I wanted to show you a different technique, which is actually kind of my favorite one. And it's one where you create kind of a chevron pattern on the cookie. So again, I'm going to go ahead and fill in all the edges with the flooding. I try my best not to break the edge that's already there, because if I do, then the icing flooding will kind of run out everywhere, and then, well, it just doesn't look as nice, and it makes a big mess all over the counter. So just be really gentle with your toothpick, but make sure to go all the way up to the edge so that there's not any white space that's left. Okay, so I just got to do a little more. Then I can show you the chevron pattern. Sorry, I didn't make as much of the teal, and so it's not coming out as fast as I like. All right, so my background's going to be teal as a base color, and then I'm gonna use the yellow to make the chevron pattern. And so the way you do this is you just do a stripe. You just do as many stripes as you want. You can do them far apart. You can do them close together, however you want. And then you just take a toothpick and you drag the toothpick through the cookie, and it makes a chevron pattern. It's really fun. Okay, so that's step 2. And then this part you have to let sit for quite a while. I would say at least 30 minutes, but it does even better if you wait an hour or so. I'm usually not that patient because I'm ready for them to be done, but it does work better the longer you leave it. So for step 3, I already have had these backgrounds hardening for a while. As you can see, I did a polka dot egg, and I also did a chevron flower. And so then what you do is you take the piping bags again, if you want to do any sort of overlay over the cookie. So for my Easter egg, I'm going to put some zigzags on top, just to kind of make it look a little more Easter eggy. And that's pretty simple. And then for my flower, I'm going to do kind of some petals on there. So I start in the middle, and I go around each petal, and then I meet again in the middle. Now, obviously you can do all sorts of things with the piping. You can do polka dots with piping. If you have a certain number of tip, you can do writing with your piping. You can put sprinkles in the middle, like I did over here on some of mine. Like with this one, I did sprinkles in the middle. But that's how it works. You just kind of take it a step at a time, and then you turn out with some pretty beautiful cookies. So thank you for joining me today for my video, and I'll put the recipes at the end. And it's good to be with you. Hope you guys are doing well. I miss you.